Alright, this first example of playing in the style of Eric Clapton is played over a track that's along the lines of the song Badge. Badge is in the key of D, and most of these licks can be derived from the D minor pentatonic scale, played primarily either in 10th position or up in 13th position. So 10th position, D minor pentatonic, you have D, F, G, A, C, and it repeats. D, F, G, A, C, D, F, or if you move up here, D, F, G, A, and then later on moves into D major pentatonic. So we'll get into that in a minute. The solo that I'm playing here is not the solo from the record. I'm just playing in Clapton style and playing melodies that are along the lines of the melodies that he plays on this song, just to show you the elements of his approach to soloing. This particular example comes in on the pickup bar, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then after I'm sustaining, holding that, that's the first, that's the beginning of the form. So I'm bending C up a whole step and releasing it. Then I drop a F on top. And I'm on the bridge pickup and getting a lot of bite. I'm using a TS9 tube screamer for more drive to get that martially kind of a sound. And occasionally getting a little bit of thumb into the pick attack, but in a subtle way to give more texture to the quality of the notes. So in that first bar there, I begin by holding that bent C up to D that's being vibratoed. And then while that note is held as a full step bend, I pick it and release it. So it's like a grace note that's bent and then immediately unbent. Barring with the index finger across the top two strings of the 10th fret. 12th fret of the G, fretted normally, and then bent up whole step and released. And come down on that minor third F, but bend it up a half step to F sharp, because it's D major. So that's very blues-like. Just like Freddie King, a really strong melody and really swings with the groove really nicely. Now here, through bars 3 and 4, I first bend up E to F sharp, which is the major third of D, but it's over the C chord. It's a nice sound, and it also sets up moving up 1 fret to F and bending up to G. And then here at the end of the bar, I got 3 pre-bends in a row. A half step, whole step, back to a half step. And that really comes from the influence of Albert King. He was a huge influence on Eric Clapton. So again, there's a lot of blues elements in this, but it's very rock at the same time because of the sound and the attack and just the feeling that Eric puts into the playing. And that's what I'm trying to emulate with this solo that's along the lines of his solo. So this note here in bar 4 is held for 2 beats. And then I go. So here we're moving to D major pentatonic just by having that 6th in there, which is a B note. You got the root note D and the 5th A, using a hammer from 10 to 12 on the B string. And then landing strong on that E. Sounds great over C because it's the 3rd of C. Now right here, when we get back to the D chord, I follow this hammer from 10 to 12 on the B string with a high D and then sliding to the D note on the B string. So if you've listened to B.B. King or studied his playing, you know that's a B.B. technique, going from a root note on the high E to a root note on the B. So you could vibrato it. So here in bar 7, after right there, bar 7, bending this high G up a whole step to A, coming down, and then in bar 8 I bend this G up to A, this is on B3, and then hold the bend while repeatedly picking the note. And that's a sound that you hear Clapton do all the time. So what's really nice about this is you hear all those great blues elements of attack and touch and tone and intonation in the bending and in the strong melodic sense, but it really has a rock sound because of the amount of drive and energy and youthfulness. And then it is a rock track. It doesn't sound like a blues song. So Clapton was essential in taking blues and moving it into the direction of blues rock, like what he did with the Blues Breakers with John Mayall, and after that with Cream, Blind Faith, Derek and the Dominoes. And if you listen to Badge, you know it's one of his greatest solos.